Welcome to Talking Sports. I'm Jeremy Hazen, joined by my fellow colleagues, David Silver, and to my far right, NFL expert, Jason Granite. We'll jump right into the game. Mr. David Silver has a breaking Michigan story.
Through our extensive contacts at ESPN through that wonderful summer internship, we have now been receiving information that Chris Howard was signed today by the Jacksonville Jaguars to replace often injured James Stewart. Now, where does this lead us? I think this takes us right into the Michigan running game.
David, it is a definite problem right now. Without the offensive line performing whatsoever, the Michigan running backs have had a lot of trouble, and it's killing our season so far. Jason, what do you think about that?
You know, last year it was the reason for which the Michigan team went all the way to an undefeated season and a Rose Bowl. Despite the fantastic defense, the running game was very able to control the ball. This year, except for the poor Eastern squad, the Michigan team has been running for a very low, under 2.6 yards per carry.
Okay, I think we got to cut him off there because that was it was not the running game that won us the national championship last year. Let's be honest here. You know, obviously what we're missing is Woodson in the covering half the field and closing down half the receivers. We're missing Brian Greasy, who turned out to be a phenomenal quarterback last year. I mean, who would have guessed it? At the beginning of the year, we all were a little worried. He turned it into that championship team, not the running game.
You also can't forget Glenn Steele. I mean, this guy led the defensive line last year, which constantly had pressure on the quarterback. This year, we have no one. There's never any pressure on the quarterback. Rob Renis has done an okay job. He's a good run stopper, but there's no pressure on the quarterback. It doesn't seem like anyone's rushing the quarterback. There's no blitzes. Jim Herman is back in this relaxed defense. And our cornerbacks are getting killed right now. Whitley's out there getting burned. Weathers is getting crushed out there. We look like a bad football team right now.
Our team speed is just also very lacking on defense. There's definitely sand in Marcus Ray's shoes, Dahani Jones' shoes. He was all over the running backs last year, busting over the fullbacks, making blocks. This year, he's getting pushed aside by everybody. The whole linebacking core, Sam Sorters just doesn't have the fire he had last year, not making the push towards the ball. The team is just very slow. They're getting no pressure on the quarterback, and they're not controlling the ball on offense and moving it at all.
And who do we blame for this? I mean, this is just, right now, that is just an easy person to blame. Lloyd Carr, this one goes out to you. This one's all for you, buddy. I mean, right now, it's his job to be the one that's pushing this team. He's gone from genius last year to what the hell is going on? I mean, he's not even like coaching.
David, I agree completely. Some of his play calling has been suspect. I know he's not calling the offensive plays, but some fourth down calls have been just mindless. I don't know what's going on. The defensive play calling, everything. How can you possibly have Craig Baker as your kicker after last year? This guy misses extra points. Jay Feely's nothing to write home about either. You have Hayden Epstein sitting on the bench. This is the most highly recruited kicker coming out of high school. This guy kicked the ball 75 yards through the upright last week. Do we need to see any more? I know Jay Feely has a great leg. But this guy he can hit extra points, but 35-yard field goals are an adventure.
Yeah, you got to admit. After watching, I was at Notre Dame. I traveled with the team, still hungover from the national championship last year. And just watching that Notre Dame game, special teams, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely mind-boggling. It was an atrocity. I mean, that comes straight down to coaching, and you got to go top to bottom within your coaching staff. And Lloyd Carr has got to step up right now and not be a baby about his quarterback situation. He's got to realize that this season is on the line this weekend. We lose to Michigan State, forget about it. It's over. I mean, next year, I don't want to hear about it. I mean, this is my year. I'm here. I want to see now. I need results, not like questions.
This is not like the NFL or any other professional sport where you can build for the future. You get these guys for 4 years. You got to cash in right now and then. Anthony Thomas, he's just playing like he wanted to go pro at the end of last year. Same with a bunch of these guys on the offense. John Jansen's wishing he was suiting up for the Broncos or the Packers or something. These guys just don't seem like they want to be playing in the brand new, I might add, Michigan Stadium with the new scoreboards that we show very well with 5,000 yards for Syracuse and about 7 for us. And these guys just they got their ring. They wanted to go to the pros. Someone said no, so they're here and they're just going through the motions and not succeeding at all.
It's back to Lloyd Carr for a second. I don't want to get off this one too quickly. I'll ask you guys, does it seem like they're unprepared? They're coming out, they've been flat-footed. They were flat-footed the first 2 weeks. This is unacceptable. This is Notre Dame, the second best college football institution in this country, and it's Syracuse, a Big East power. We should be killing Syracuse. Syracuse hopes someday to join the Big Ten because they're in a pretty bad conference. And they come in here and make us look terrible. It is inexcusable how unprepared this team was. I don't understand. I know he could have gotten relaxed. You saw all these articles about Lloyd Carr coming into this year being a laid-back guy. I heard several college football experts saying they were at Michigan practice this summer, and this team didn't seem prepared. This was said before the year started, so there has to be some problems.
Well, I think the problems also come with the hype with the recruiting class. I think you got to start talking about the hype with the recruiting class because we're looking right now at a situation with Drew Henson, and you got to bring him up because right now the team's not winning, and Tom Brady, unfortunately, didn't play poorly in Notre Dame, had a horrendous game against Syracuse, and you know what are you gonna do? You gotta take him out. It's his. If he's in the kitchen, he's cooked. He's done. He's over crisp. He's got to be taken out. His days in Michigan are over.
But I think that the Michigan football has got to go a lot past the freshman class of just Drew Henson. I mean, David Terrell came out, made 2 nice touchdown catches in Eastern. I know it's Eastern Michigan. I'm not getting all fired up for the ranked 112th out of 112 Division 1A teams. You know, but this guy's definitely showing he could break it down the middle. He runs a nice slant pattern. He gets the yards that you need. He's not doing this 5-yard out on a 3rd and 6 like we're used to from Michigan football. You know, he's fighting for that extra yard. Fargus has shown a few things. Cross has shown a few things.
What has Fargus showed us so far? I'm sorry. What have you seen that we haven't?
Fargus has showed the speed. How can you not love the speed right now?
I love the speed. He can hit 5 yards into the backfield. Wonderful.
Please, he's only 185 pounds, and this guy's the top-ranked running back coming out of high school.
He ran for 3,000 yards his junior year in high school. No one's running for 3,000 yards if they don't have some kind of ability. You know, you got to give this guy some touches. I think that they should give Anthony Thomas, take him to the weight room, get him 20 more pounds, line him up at fullback, throw Fargus behind him. You don't know whether you're going to get the big guy up the middle because Anthony Thomas cannot break one. You know, he breaks through the line 15 yards and suddenly he's getting pulled down from behind. You know, and give Fargus the opportunity to run behind Thomas, run with Thomas. Cross definitely showed some things in the first couple games. You know, he's got natural running back instincts. He's making moves and making some cuts that Michigan football has not seen since Biaka Batuka. You know, I don't know if Mr. Cross is the next Wheatley or Biaka Batuka, but he's definitely shown some things. There's no reason why he shouldn't get a chance. At 1-2, this team's not in the national title hunt. You know, the Big Ten season hasn't started. We could still go to a Rose Bowl, the new Rose Bowl. That is not the old Rose Bowl that Michigan.
The AT&T Rose Bowl
or
the Federal Express Rose Bowl.
I don't know what it is, but
I have to agree on a couple things you said. I think Anthony Thomas would be a great fullback right now. Let's be honest for 1 second. This guy cannot break a run. I know he broke one against Eastern Michigan. He is a step slower than he was last year. There's no arguing that. Maybe he lifted more weights. Maybe he weighs more. I don't know. He's always been a big back. This guy can't. He can turn the corner against the mediocre teams. Against the big teams with a lot of speed, they are chasing him down. It's not working right now. Let's see Fargus. Let's see Brady. And I'm done with Clarence Williams. This guy has had 3 years here. I am done with Clarence Williams. Let's see the new guys. They're faster. Clarence Williams seems like he's terrified to go up the middle. I know he's a small guy and has no chance of an NFL career, but still, go up the middle. Let's see what you got. Another point, Jason, which you addressed. Actually, you didn't address this. Tom Brady is staring down his receivers. There is no second receiver. There's no third receiver. One receiver, and that's the only receiver he throws to.
And I got to ask you, where did you come up with that brilliant analysis about Tom Brady staring down his receivers? Because I got to admit, I mean, that's a brilliant analysis of the situation.
I know. I do sit next to you at the football games, and I have heard you mention something about that.
I mean,
but I'm also a college football expert, and I have noticed these things as well.
Yes, I mean, and we should just jump right into that because that is Tom Brady's first problem. I mean, he may be athletic, he may have a rifle, but I mean, the first thing I think we actually saw some Notre Dame game that Lloyd Carr may have chosen Tom Brady as the quarterback, but he does not trust Tom Brady. And we saw that when he put Dries back in for those 4th down key situations near the goal line. I mean, right then and there, if you can't count on your quarterback to score the touchdown, then sit his tuchus on the bench because that is just...
We'll beat that one out, please.
Because that is just unacceptable.
Well, 2 things. One is that Dresbach should not be getting any touches here. If we're going to go to another quarterback, go to Henson. He's the future. Lloyd Carr said himself, he's the best quarterback he's ever been around, so let him be the best quarterback you're ever going to be around. Secondly, Clarence Williams is not an every down back. He's a Dave Meggett type player. He can do a little nice screen pass options for you. He can maybe return some punts that we've had trouble with over the last few years, except for Woodson. But Clarence Williams is not an every down back. Do not give him that option. Either go to the young guys, give it to Anthony Thomas, who's not going to break one, or bulk him up and start working with these young guys that are going to be excellent.
Okay, I'm just going to disagree with both of you on that Anthony Thomas thing. He may have lost some of his desire. He has not lost a step. This guy is still an NFL typical running back. He's got the body. He's got the ability. You light that guy's fire, he will be running for 100, 150 yards a game, and we're winning games.
Yeah, but you're not going to light his fire with the coaching that's going on in the Michigan football team right now. Yeah. And heading into the Big Ten season, where everyone knows you got to have ball control and defense right now, I'm very scared. We're not controlling the ball, and our defense is definitely not there, with our corners getting beat every time. Every time.
I also think a lot of our running problems will be solved this Saturday once we see Steve Hutchinson, our best offensive lineman, and he's our center, back in action. He's been injured on and off for a couple weeks now. This guy is going to probably take our running game to another level. He led this team to the national championship last year. If you've never seen Steve Hutchinson, he's an enormous man. I mean, he is huge. He's a big part of the offensive line. And another point I want to address, maybe it's getting a little nitpicky, but do we have to see Jason Vincent kick these 30-yard punts anymore? I mean, how long has this guy been here? We have Drew Henson. I know you might not want to risk him injury. I've heard this guy punts the ball 65 yards in the air. If you want a national championship team, put your best players out there every down. Jason Vincent is not the best kicker on this team. Get Henson out there.
Nor is Baker.
No one gets injured kicking. I know one guy in the NFL tore his hamstring this weekend kicking, but no one ever gets hurt kicking. Can we see this guy, please?
Especially with the new rules now, protecting the kickers and quarterbacks. If you even lay your pinky on a quarterback, you breathe near a kicker, 15 yards. These guys aren't coming that hard after the kickers and quarterbacks anymore. Maybe that scared our defensive line and our special teams, but these people aren't coming after him. If Drew Henson can kick the ball 65 yards, snap it to him.
Okay, that brings me up to my next favorite topic. I mean, Drew Henson. Is this guy the savior? I mean, we're talking about him. He should be the quarterback. He should be the kicker. What's going on with that? I mean, is this guy that good? I read the Sports Illustrated article. He had a 6-page Sports Illustrated cover-to-cover story about him. Before he played baseball, before he played football here, Derek Jeter of the New York Yankees has the quote, "Wow, that's really cool. You're going to be the quarterback of the New York, for the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan Wolverines, I've been here 4 years. New York accent's been getting killed a little. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, what's this kid done? Jeremy and I, we see at the games, and we look to see when this guy's coming in. We pay more attention to see if he's coming in than if how our team's actually playing on the field. That worries me at this point, especially because we're 1-2, because the team's not playing up to where it should be. And the fact of the matter is, as a fan, I'm no longer concerned because I want to see this young guy who people are calling the next John Elway.
I agree. What have we seen of Drew Henson so far? Even from what my sources have told me, Drew Henson is a better baseball player than he is football player. He was not the best quarterback coming out of college. I think he was coming out of high school. He was the third best quarterback coming out of high school. Third best. I mean, the other two guys aren't playing right now, so we don't know how good they are. We do not know how good Drew Henson is. And I want to get off this subject for a second, talk about the huge loss of Marcus Ray last week. This absolutely kills our team. This is the sole leader of our team. He leads the team. He's one of the tri-captains. But not only that, if you watch him on the field, he punishes people. He hits people unconscious. I don't know who was playing safety last week. I think it was
Dwayne Patman.
I don't even know who this guy
came up with an interception last week.
He might have come up with an interception. He was absolutely
Michigan,
lost.
Let's not be talking about what these guys can do.
I'll talk about what he didn't do. He was beat on several plays. I was not impressed by Dwayne Patman. The loss of Marcus Ray, while it might not have hurt last week, will kill us in the near future. Lloyd, I suggest you get your investigation underway and finished so we can get this guy back in uniform or out. I don't need to be waiting all season for my savior, Marcus Ray, to come here.
The inside scoop on that one, coming straight from the Michigan Daily, is that that investigation is near closing and is not looking particularly good for the University of Michigan to get Marcus Ray back this year.
You know,
That's a shame.
I seem to disagree with that because I think Marcus Ray was, like the rest of the Michigan defense, running around with a little bit of sand in his shoes. He was a little bit late getting to receivers. I mean, Donovan McNabb was eating up the entire defensive backfield and the entire defense of the Michigan Wolverines. You know, Andre Weathers, he's getting beat on every time the ball snapped. His wide receivers by him. Sheffield, this guy from Eastern Michigan, has a career day on Andre Weathers, who is the first-team All-American defensive back in Street and Smith. I mean, come on, this guy. He came up with an interception last week because the quarterback was nice and threw it to him because he realizes he needs the statistics. But against the two teams that we played that are ranked, that are in the top 25, he was nowhere to be found within 5 steps of his wide receiver.
I got to tell you, Cedric Irvin, he scares me this week. I mean, I think we should start talking about the Michigan State game. Nice little rivalry there, being from New York, and doesn't really affect me as much. But it exists. So we're going to talk about it like it's a big thing, because we know how you in-state students feel about that rivalry.
Well, Cedric Irvin almost stayed us up last year by himself.
He's good. Yeah, I mean, the man's a running man. He's a runner. He can do everything. He can catch the ball in the backfield. And I got to tell you right now, I'm not going to be surprised to see him have a 150, 200-yard day.
I'm personally not a big fan of Cedric Irvin. I think he's incredibly overrated. I think his offensive line of Flozell Adams and others who went to the NFL last year helped him incredibly. I'm not impressed by Cedric Irvin. I'd like to see what he can do against us this coming week. And one more thing before we get off of football. Jim Herman looked like this savior last year. Do you agree with me? This defensive mind that you couldn't let get away, sign him up for the next 15 years. Jim, can we blitz the quarterback, please? Come on.
No. See, now you're going to say let's blitz the quarterback.
No sacks this year? No sacks?
Come on. I mean, let's not like cut our heads off here. I mean, let's get something straight. You had Charles Woodson playing on the field last year. He ate up the rest of the defense. He took them under his wing, and we rode him. Without the defensive pressure, I think Glenn Steele, you said before, that's who we're also missing. But I mean, without these two guys, our defense, we can't attack.
Yeah, but what's the one thing that's scared? The one statistics that's scaring me on this entire season is we're not getting any sacks on the quarterback.
This team is stocked with good defensive players. James Whitley and Peterson were 2 of the top cornerback prospects coming out of high school. Peterson is very good. Once he's in, let's go. Blitz the quarterback. This is a talented team. We should be getting to the quarterback. And now I think we should switch to 2 other topics I think we'd like to cover before the end of our show. One, hockey ticket prices. They are a little out of control right now with $170. I don't know what it is. Personally, I don't go to the hockey games. And I also, being a former economics person in the business school, understand why you could charge $170 because there's so many people want these tickets. Charge whatever you want. Personally, I don't care. I'm not buying them. What do you think?
Tom Goss getting all fired up, win a second national championship in 3 years. So you break the bank. Look what the New York Yankees did. George Steinbrenner got all fired up for his team. Think, best record in the league. They think they're going to break the best record ever. They got to win a couple more games to have the best American League record ever. And now that they're not selling tickets because he fired the prices up too much. Tom, you might get your guys to come down to Yost. Clean Yost up. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. It is. It's a mess at Yost. It's not, $7 for a soda, $170 for tickets. We're students. We're students.
Let's be honest here. They sell out the hockey tickets? Yes. They sell out the Yankee tickets? Yes. Everyone, they sold out the tickets totally and completely. So, I mean, it's all gone.
And this will move us right on to another disaster. The University of Michigan basketball team. I'm in the position to buy tickets this week. They are being sold at $95. I do not understand this. Can someone please tell me where they get the nerve to charge $95? This place is half empty. No one goes to Chrysler. No one cares about this team. They have lost half their football players. You go to other big schools. You go to UMass, and I think Virginia does this also. These are big these are big basketball programs. They get their tickets for free. Tom, it is unexcusable to charge $95. I'll be buying for my 4th straight year. I want to sit behind the bench.
Oh, are you?
I might be watching nothing this year because half our team left, and we have not recruited a soul besides our new center, Young. But we're in trouble right now with the basketball.
Yeah,
team.
but
That's why let's get so we're official now. We were getting basketball tickets because personally, I was not going to. I'm disappointed. Everyone said, well, we got Ellerby. Yeah, I understand he's got the future commitments for next year. Yes, that's wonderful. But I mean, what happened? I mean, whatever happened? What was his name? Not Corleone Young. What was the big one who went to LSU? Stromil Swift. What happened? I mean, come on, Michigan, LSU. We're Michigan here. We should be getting the top guys.
Yeah, but basketball has got other problems other than $95 tickets, putting the student section up where your nose starts bleeding. Get these fans behind the bench, get them all fired up, get rowdy towels given away at every game. Try to set up some sort of atmosphere for Michigan students to enjoy themselves at basketball games. And that's why these people are going to hockey games. I've been to US Arena many times. The fans go crazy. They're talking about Michigan State players' mothers and everything. They're going nuts. They love it. They don't sit down for the whole game. It's like a football game. You go to the basketball game, you sit in your chair, you put your feet up, you have your cup of coffee. Maybe the team scores points, maybe they don't. Maybe someone dunks. You get no instant replay. I hear they got new scoreboards this year, but last year it's a dot matrix scoreboard and charge $95 when I'm sitting in the all the way in the back. Not going to happen.
Yeah, let's be a little honest here, though, and let's talk about a little focus for this team. And I'm kind of happy about this because, to be honest, this team has nothing to worry about. Unlike last season where, 3-4 guys thought they might be going to the NBA and have futures. This season, I'm sorry to say this, Lewis, but, this is the truth now. It might hurt. Ain't none of these guys going to the NBA. They're done. This is the only thing that they're going to be able to do is play on this team and make something for themselves, hopefully go over to Europe. Maybe the CBA, and then maybe one of them, like Lewis, if he grows about 6 inches, maybe play in the NBA. However, these guys have got to concentrate and maybe able to pull off a pleasant surprise. Maybe a 500 season, slightly above 500. That'd make me happy. If I see these guys, Brandon Smith, go out, improve a little, give their hearts out, my $90 for those tickets, they're worth it.
I agree. And back to what you said. Right now, going to a basketball game is like going to the Nassau Mausoleum. There, where the Islanders play, or where they used to play, for that matter. There is nothing going on at these games. The 4 rows right behind the bench. I have been an allegiant Michigan basketball fan for my 4 years here. Can I get these tickets, please? What do I need to do? Do these need to go to the alumni? You go to Cameron Indoor Stadium. They are on top of the court. I want to be on top of the court. I've given this athletic department $800 over the 4 years. Why can I not sit there? Tom, do you have the answers for me?
Not even. All right, Duke is a Class A operation of their basketball program. They get their fans right down there. The alumni understand it. But let's take another program, a fellow Big Ten school, Penn State. Their students, the first row of tickets, they don't have seats. They sit on the floor. They stand on the floor, timeout, they sit on the actual floor that the players play on. They're right there. They're talking to the opposing teams. Michigan fans, I'm lucky if someone can hear me in the first row. That's how far away I am. It's very upsetting. Being a very, very huge Michigan fan, being a student's all fired up. Let me get to the stadium early and sit there.
Yeah.
Let me get to the stadium early. A football team, these guys in the yellow jackets throwing me out. I want to get all fired up for a Michigan football game, and they're saying, nope, go to the new seats, up number 97, or wherever you're sitting, And then they put the people who sit down and want to put their feet up in the first couple rows. Let the fans that care about it, who want to get there early, sit close to the field or close to the court. And that's the way it should be for all the sports here.
Oh, no. I mean, let's just go. And I personally, the Duke game last year, talk about a game that was exciting, emotional. We won it. We stormed the floor afterwards. I'll never forget, as the producer of this show, Kevin Fritz, was running one person in front of me, making all the national media shows because he was the first person on the floor. But I'll never forget, we were standing there with about 1 second to go, and an alumni in the first row yells at us, "Sit down, you're blocking my view." Sit down. I'm a student here, and it blew my mind. It's time, we're the students. We represent what they want. Everyone yells, we're not emotional there. We're not lively. Well, if you're not giving us the opportunity to be alive and to cheer on our teams, then it's more the directors and the department's faults than it is our faults. And this is all things that can be solved by some simple action by Tom. And Tom, we do expect you to step up after watching this because we know you can.
I want to switch topics, if you guys don't mind, for a couple minutes before we finish the show. We know there are a lot of Detroit Lions fans in our audience this evening, and we're going to address your quarterback controversy, and I have my own opinions on this. Scott Mitchell and Charlie Batch are two big problems for this football team. I have watched Scott Mitchell for 4 years. This guy is an absolute disgrace to quarterbacks in the NFL. He might be 6'6". He might have backed up Dan Marino well for 6 games last year. This guy is a mess. This guy is a mess. I don't know what to do with him. You bring in Charlie Batch? This guy went to school down the road. Is Eastern Michigan even Division I?
Yeah, they were ranked 112 this year.
I saw him play last week. He was nothing. He is not good. Give the ball to Barry Sanders. I know Charlie Batch is young, but still.
Yeah,
come on.
but you know what? I feel real bad for Barry Sanders. He's had no offensive line his whole career. He's had nobody. He's got Herman Moore, who is maybe the top receiver in the league right now. I know Jerry Rice is towards the end of his career, especially after the injury, and he's Hall of Famer, maybe the best ever. But Herman Moore might be the best wide receiver in the league right now, and Barry Sanders could be the best running back ever. And these guys are going to go nowhere. You got 2 of the best skill positions in the league or ever, and you're going nowhere because when you snap the ball, you don't know if it's going to make it to the quarterback's hands.
My Detroit Lion guru, Scott Weinberg, has told me that Scott Mitchell is done with this team. He says he's off.
He is.
He says just out and cold. Go find another job, Scott. Getting paid $7 million a year, whatever you are. It's great in the NFL. You could just cut players. See you, Scott. Go play in the World League or the Arena Bowl, which is not bad football if you ever want to tune into some excitement.
They're not going to cut Scott Mitchell. Let's be honest about this. What Bobby Ross basically did by putting him as third-string quarterback, which makes him the emergency quarterback on the team, they basically said your career here is done. But they can't cut him because for the season, the way the salary structure works, they can't afford to. They will trade him for basically nothing. And I think we're going to see him on some team like Cincinnati. Because let's be honest, Neil O'Donnell is not an NFL quarterback, which was seen after the Green Bay game. I think another thing that, and as we're heading towards the end of the show, I think we should all, throw in a little prediction for next week so we can all look back and make fun of Hazen and his picks. I think we should talk about the Michigan State game and who's going to win.
Okay. Jason, let's jump to you and move around so we can wrap up this show. What's your prediction? Make it quick, 20 seconds.
I think that despite a big game by Cedric Irvin, I think that the Michigan team is going to find it somewhere. The defense is going to come in with a big play at the end of the game, 27-20 Michigan, pulling it out late, close one. But I think that they're going to pull it out late. Cedric Irvin is going to have a big day. We're going to have trouble stopping him. But I see Michigan, putting in that TD at the end.
Okay, I'm doing this simple. Drew Henson, you're starting, you're playing, you're God, 24-17.
Okay, I'll give it quick. Michigan State is completely overrated. Michigan's not rated at all. Michigan 35, Michigan State 24. And I think that's a wrap for today's show. Jason, David, thank you so very much for joining me on this new format of Talking Sports. Thank you to the audience. Hopefully in the following weeks we'll have a live call-in show. So thanks again, and that's it for today. Have a good night.